So, Elara on X has just commented, and I quote, market roller coaster ahead, unquote. What is Crypto Elara talking about on X? Well, we will find out in about half an hour from now when the US jobs report is set to be released, like they do typically every first Friday of the month. Hello, hello, and welcome to this live stream. My name is Han Tan. I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Bybit and Bybit Learn. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get right into why the US jobs report is so important if you're not familiar with it, or you may have heard this term called non-farm payrolls, NFP. Right, so that's what we'll look out for in less than half an hour from now. In the lead up to that, I'll give you some forecasts by the markets, and of course, some explainers about what it is and why it's so important. And then, more importantly, and when the data is released, we are going to see how Bitcoin, stocks, gold, or FX pairs that you love, how they will react in real time. Okay. Now, so if you got any questions in the lead up to it, make sure you give us a shout out on the YouTube chat. We are both on YouTube and also on X. Our X handle is at Bybit_learn. If you're there watching there, give us a shout out. If you are on YouTube, then give us a shout out there as well. I'm just going to get confirmation that we are indeed streaming live on X. Yes, we are live on X right now, making sure that the YouTube stream is on live. Yes, it is right now. All right, awesome, cool. Welcome, welcome. For those of you joining us, again, my name is Han Tan. I'm the Chief Market Analyst for Bybit and Bybit Learn. So we are going to show you in the lead up to the live data and the live market reaction, we're going to show you why this US jobs report is so important. Okay, so with that in mind, let's get straight to the chart. And before we actually do that, heads up here, we do have a special giveaway for the for these live streams. So by all means, feel free to scan the QR code that I'm going to show you here on the screen right now. Give me 1 second. I'm having trouble with my laptop here, folks. So just bear with me. Let's try this. Nope, not that one. Sorry, folks. Just bear with me. I got plenty of monitors to look at, and yeah, lots to kind of toggle through. All right, so let's try this. Okay, cool. Let me share my screen. Sorry, folks, bear with me. Okay, so yeah, so we've got a special giveaway of USDT in rewards that you can get if you sign up for a new Bybit account. All you got to do is just scan the QR code that you see on your screen right there, down below, right there. Right, or you can tap on the link. If you're watching on YouTube, you just smash that description button, expand it, and you will find the link there. Also, if you're on X, you will find the link in the post there as well. Okay, so sign up. Make sure that you get not just insight into what is a very important monthly occurrence for the markets, but also potentially get yourself started on the right note when you enter the Bybit universe. Okay, so scan the QR code or just tap on the links on YouTube or on X there. Okay, so again, these are our handles here at Bybit_learn, or just search for Bybit Learn Official on YouTube. Make sure you click on the live tab that you see on YouTube. Okay, all right, so we're gonna get right to it now. If you're not familiar with why this obsession almost for markets about the US jobs report, all right, so first things first, all right, you got to know why it matters. So the US consumers are the biggest drivers of the world's largest economy. Right. All that means is, okay, we know the US is the world's biggest economy, right? And so what keeps it growing? It's people in the States buying goods, buying services, right? They consume, right? That is what makes it the biggest economy in the world. So why is the US jobs report important, and how does it pertain to it? Well, so again, right, more people with jobs, they get salaries, they got more money to spend, and that means more economic growth. Okay, it's as simple as that. All right. So, From a central bank perspective, now the US Federal Reserve, aka the Fed, you may know about them, right? They are the world's most important central bank. Okay. Now they've got one job, which is to manage the US economy. But what does managing the US economy actually mean? Well, it means two things. Number one, which is to keep prices stable. So, i.e., inflation not moving too much too fast. Okay, that's half of their mandate. The other half of their mandate is called maximum employment. All right. So the most number of people who are able and willing to work, who want to find work, willing, right, can actually find work. So how do they go about achieving these dual mandates? They use one big tool, which is called interest rates. Okay, and interest rates, I'll spare you the econs and finance lesson here, but just know that that one interest rate, right, which is the benchmark for all kinds of things from borrowing and home loans, etc., right, and it also determines how much money is actually flowing in the world's largest economy and the world. Right. So, based on the jobs data that we're about to get, and also the inflation data that we'll get next Tuesday, January 13th, the Fed, the world's most important central bank, will then rely on the data to determine whether they should keep interest rates where they are right now or potentially lower it. Okay. So the idea is that if the US jobs market is in trouble, the Fed would have to lower interest rates faster and by a lot more to support the US economy. All right. Low interest rates means there's more money out there. People who have borrowed from banks, they have to pay less interest, right? So, and also those who are saving money in the bank, they get less incentivized because they've got less interest. So, in other words, more money being pushed out into the economy. That can help businesses have more money to go and hire more people. So, support the US jobs market. Okay. So, long story short, with the data coming out in about 23 minutes from now, if there's a weaker than expected jobs market in December, the Fed might have to lower interest rates. If it's still strong or resilient, then the Fed might say, you know what, we can keep interest rates unchanged for now. Okay, that's the thinking. And we'll go through some of those scenarios in just a bit. Okay. So that's why this US jobs report is so important. Don't be surprised if you see big moves in Bitcoin, gold, stock indices, S&P 500, FX pairs, right? Euro dollar, GBP USD, USD JPY, or whatever. Sometimes even oil as well. Okay. So we'll be keeping an eye on those in just a bit. Okay. So now, just for historical context, I'm going to show you. I know it's a bit small, so hopefully you guys can either rotate your phone or, more importantly, right, just try and watch this on your desktop in the future. Or don't worry, I know most of you are probably watching this after the fact already, after the non-farm payrolls or US jobs data has been released already, which is fine. But make sure you mark your calendars, right? This very important event comes out as scheduled on the first Friday of every month. Okay, typically, unless like there was a US government shutdown late last year, right? And that's when a lot of the data was delayed during the US government shutdown in October or so. But generally, this jobs data is scheduled on the first Friday of every month. Everybody is watching it, at least those in the markets who are actively participating in the markets, right? They are watching this. If you're not participating in the markets, right, we are going to help you get started, not just with these insights, but also we've got 25,000 USDT in rewards that we have set aside for these live streams. Make sure you click on the subscribe button below, or the link in the YouTube description, or also on X. We are both on X and also YouTube. Just search for Bybit Learn Official on YouTube and click on the live tab, or on X. Our handle is at Bybit_Learn. Okay. So we've got the US jobs report coming up in about 20 minutes from now. Okay. So what you're seeing on the screen here is how different assets like gold, S&P 500, or Bitcoin have reacted to the all the monthly US jobs reports that we got in 2025. Notice how October was missing or is missing from this list, and that's again because of the US government shutdown. But otherwise, first Friday of the month. Okay, so today, January 9th, first Friday of 2025, and not just first Friday of no, actually, it's not the first Friday of 2026 now, is it? Sorry. But yeah, it is, still January 1st, the US government wanted to take a break. So yeah, anyways, long story short, we're gonna have that data in about 20 minutes from now. Okay. All right. So with that said, let's go to the oh, before I show you the charts, right? I'll show you some charts. And again, if you guys got any particular asset that you want to look at, or you want me to look at and do some quick analysis, just let me know. I've got a YouTube chat live open here. X, I'm a bit slower there. Apologies for that, because I've got, again, like I said, too many screens. I've got 3 screens and a gazillion tabs open. So just bear with me. But hopefully I can get to those chats as soon as you post them. But I'm most reactive on YouTube, at least for the chats, because it's here on my phone. Okay. All right. So this is the Bitcoin chart, but we'll dive deeper into these charts here in just a bit. But first, I want to show you this article, right? In the meantime, we've got this article, okay, that we just published this morning to give you a preview of what markets are expecting in the lead up to this announcement. Okay, just bear with me here, folks. I'll show you how to get to it. Something's wrong with my screen here. There we go. Hopefully that's better. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. So this is an article. I'll show you how to get to it. So when you go to, say, bybit.com, right, as your starting point, head on down to bybit.com. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see the options in the menu here. Okay, so you will see this Learn tab. Okay, right there, Learn. So scroll down to Bybit Learn, and then the URL will change to learn.bybit.com. Again, that's learn.bybit.com. So if you don't want to go through the main Bybit website, you can just type in learn.bybit.com. You'll get there. Click on blog and daily bits. Okay, so learn.bybit.com, blog, daily bits. Click on it, and then you'll see today's article here. Okay, now for those of you who are watching this, I know, using the Bybit app, right? You can find the Learn section first by going to the top left-hand corner, click on your profile icon, right? And then look for services. And then under services, you can see Learn there. Okay. And then once you get there, you will, again, come to a page that looks like this, right? That one you don't have the menu. So on the app, you can scroll down till you see analysis, right? And then scroll down till you can see daily bits, which for some reason is not showing right now. But anyways, then you'll get here, and this is the article that we published today. Okay, so some more data here. So I've shown you why the jobs report is so important, how those different assets have reacted to the jobs report in 2025. Again, it comes out every month, typically scheduled for the first Friday of every month. Okay, now when we talk about expectations, right, here's what the key numbers markets are basing their expectations on. Okay, so on one hand, you've got the headline non-farm payrolls figure. In other words, how many new jobs were added or in some months lost in the US jobs market. Okay, so the headline NFP figure now is 70,000. That's the forecast. Okay, actually, let me just double check. Yeah, 70,000. Okay, and then if so, that'll be higher than the 64,000 new jobs added in November. Okay, so again, this data is backward looking. So this is for the December 2025 data, which will be released in about 15 minutes from now. Okay, so first number to be aware of, 70,000. So if there's more than 70,000 new jobs added in the US jobs market last month, that means that's a good thing, right, for the US economy. But that also means that, well, maybe the Fed, may not have to be in a rush to cut interest rates. Okay, and keep in mind, stocks, gold, Bitcoin, generally, they love the idea of interest rates going down. Why? Because interest rates go down, there's more money pushed out in the economy, right? Then these businesses, can earn more profits, and there's more money to chase after assets like gold, big crypto, and stocks, etc. Right? I mean, obviously that's an oversimplified explanation for it, but just so you know, generally, the idea of US interest rates going down sends stocks, cryptos, gold up. Okay. All right. So that's the number to keep in mind. The other number to keep in mind is the unemployment rate. Okay. So now this is how many people who are able and willing to work but cannot find work, right, as a proportion of the entire labor force. So 4.5% is the forecast. Again, these are the forecast by the top economists in the world, as surveyed by Bloomberg. The median result is 4.5%. Okay. If so, that'll be slightly lower than 4.6%. Okay. So a higher unemployment rate is obviously a bad sign for the US job market, right? That means more people who are able and willing to work cannot find work. Okay. So if that's the case, if you get a higher number for the unemployment rate, that's actually a sign of a weaker jobs market. And then the Fed may have to come in again and cut interest rates sooner than expected. Right now, as things stand, I had mentioned in this article here. All right. So as of this morning, markets predict a 14% chance of a Fed rate cut in January. So let me just leave it there. And let me give you some live numbers now. Actually, right now, those numbers have gotten lower in just a few hours from when this article is published till now. Now it's at 11.6% chance that the Fed can cut interest rates in January of this year, specifically January 28th. That's when the decision is due. But for all of 2026, markets are only expecting a 20% chance that the Fed can cut rates 3 times this year. So, long story short, markets now expect 2 rate cuts for all of 2026. Only a 20% chance that we might see a third. With the first rate cut, 60% chance that it might happen in April. Okay, that's the market forecast right now. But of course, depending on how this data comes out in about 13 minutes from now, then those bets could actually change. Okay, so if you click on this article also, and by the way, we've got the link for this article also in the YouTube description, and I will, you can find it on the Bybit app. You can find it on learn.bybit.com on the website as well. Okay, we have also listed the forecasted moves for the 6 hours after the non-farm payrolls release at 1:30 p.m. GMT, which is in the 13 minutes from now. Okay, so you got Bitcoin, right, up or down, again, depending on how the data comes out. Ethereum, Ripple, Solana, some of these major cryptos, majors as you might know them. Of course, gold and silver certainly stealing the limelight for much of 2025. Oil, some of your more popular currency pairs, including euro dollar, which is the world's most traded FX pair. We have it here within the Bybit universe as well. And of course, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. These are some of the most popular, if not the most popular stock index, the S&P 500. Why? Because it measures the overall performance of the US jobs market. Then you've got the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones as well, right? So be sure to, we've got 12 minutes left, right? So you can tap on the link on the YouTube description to go to this article. You can browse around, but make sure you come back before within 11 minutes when the jobs market is released. Okay, I got a mark shot there. Oh, I'm revealing too much. Okay, cool. So just a quick reminder again, right? We've got a giveaway slated for these live streams. So, sorry, let me just make sure we can get the QR code up here. There we go. All right. So we've got this QR code here. Make sure you scan it so that you can get your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards if you sign up for a new Bybit account. If the QR code doesn't work for you, we've got a sign up link in the YouTube description below. Also on X at Bybit_learn in the post description for this live stream as well. Okay, cool. I've only got 10 minutes. I gotta jump to some charts here. Okay, cool. And by the way, when you actually scan the QR code or go to the link, you will get to this page. So don't be surprised there. Now, for those of you who are already within the Bybit universe, right, you can stand a chance at further 5,000 USDT in prizes every week just by completing all these tasks that you see down below. Okay, a whole bunch of tasks that you can check it out there. All you got to do, scan the QR code or tap on the link below. Okay, cool. Let's get to some charts here. So Bitcoin, right? This is a daily time frame for Bitcoin. I'm showing you from the record high that we saw from early October before slumping right now. Let me just zoom out a little bit. There we go. Right, so finding support around that 90,000 white line there, right? So yesterday and today, just hitting it, and then bouncing right back out. Okay, so that's again psychologically important line there. Let me just redraw my chart, and don't worry, we'll we'll get to some more smaller time frames to show the live reaction for the non-farm payrolls in 10 minutes from now. But that's Bitcoin, right? So finding support around 90,000 yesterday and today in anticipation of this very important US jobs report. Again, this is the 1 day daily time frame for these candlesticks. That means each of these candlesticks, each of these bars here represent how Bitcoin's prices have performed in 1 day. You can change the time frame in the top left hand corner, right down to 1 minute or as much as 1 month. You can choose your preferred time frame for when the data comes out in 9 minutes. I'll show you the 1 minute chart, right, just to show you some live reaction. Looking at the S&P 500, also hovering around this record high. It just posted a record high on January 7th, just a couple of days ago. Today is the 9th, right? That's an all-time record high right there. So yesterday and today, again, little change there, right? So we'll see if the comment that we got on X right before this live stream started, right, saying whether or not we could see a big move in markets, we will find out soon enough. Okay. As Elara says on our X account at Bybit_learn. Okay, so that's the S&P 500 right there. Little change. Let's look at gold. Again, if you guys got any preferred asset that you want to see, let me know. So gold, right, hit a record high late last year. This is, I believe, let me just zoom out a little bit. This was, there we go. This is December 29th, right? So since then, fell, rebounded, just kind of hovering around here in anticipation of the US jobs market, US jobs data. Silver as well, right? Not really moving too much, even though it's more volatile than gold, of course. I'm not sure why the chart is not pulling up. Maybe I got way too many tabs open. Oh, it was there for a second. Let's try this again. Yeah, there we go. There's your silver chart right there. Okay. Any other assets, you let me know. Well, I'll tell you what, I got 8 minutes. Let me just set up some charts here. This will be Bitcoin on the 1 minute time frame, right? So climbing there. Let me just set up some charts. In the meantime, folks, you got a few minutes left. Make sure you do not miss out as we cover the live market reaction to the non-farm payrolls jobs report coming out in about 7 minutes from now. Okay, so let me set up Bitcoin. Let me go down for gold, also down to the 1 minute chart, just so you guys can see. I'm going to mess up all of my charts, but it's okay. It's going to be worth it, right? So you guys can see it. This is the 1 minute chart. See, like gold is really going nowhere because traders and investors don't want to make too big a move before they find out what the official jobs numbers is. So again, the forecasts can be found on learn.bybit.com. The economist forecasts are all the way down here. 70,000 headline number I will read out and also show you on the screen. The official numbers when it's released in about 6 minutes from now. Those are the numbers you got to be aware of. 70,000, right? How many? That's the expectations forecast. New jobs added to the US economy in December. This is December's numbers, and unemployment rate 4.5%. Okay, so weaker than expected. So that means lower than this or higher than this, right? May actually see stocks drop for a little bit. You got potential near-term scenarios, but then ultimately, once markets can warm up to the idea that, hey, the Fed will come and save the day with more rate cuts, perhaps even having to cut rates at the end of this month, that should cheer on cryptos, gold, and stock indices, right? Or they might just skip all that and just go straight to record highs because they like the idea of US interest rates coming down. So it's gold prices on the 1 minute chart. Let me just, excuse me. If you guys got any questions, we've got 6 minutes left. By all means, go for it. Pop them in the YouTube chat. That's where I've got my chat open. All right, so make sure you check it out there. This is the 1 minute time frame from gold. What else do you guys want to see? S&P 500? Okay, sure. Let's go down to the 1 minute chart then. Oh, okay. Not too bad. Okay. So in case you guys didn't know, within Bybit, or even though we are the world's second largest crypto exchange, also just around mid last year, we launched our TradFi products, TRADFI. That's short for traditional finance. Okay, so you can find things like gold, stock indices like the S&P 500, like I'm showing you on the chart right now. You got individual stocks as well, like Apple, Tesla. You've got forex pairs like euro dollar, GBP USD, pound dollar, dollar yen, all within the Bybit universe as well. Just search for the TradFi product. If you're using the app, Bybit app, you can just in the search box up there. Type in whatever asset you want. Of course, we've got all the usual crypto suspects, and on top of that, we've got TradFi as well, in case you weren't aware. Okay, so I think yeah, those three are good enough. S&P 500 as the 1 minute chart. Let's look at gold. This is the 1 minute chart. All right. And then we'll look at Bitcoin 1 minute chart and we'll see where they how they fare in 4 minutes when the data comes out. And I'll read it out to you live. And of course, I'll update it on the screen as well. Okay. Any questions here, folks? Anything else you want to see? So again, right, just a quick recap of some housekeeping announcements. We have got a special giveaway of 25,000 USDT in rewards that we have set aside for these live streams. So make sure you scan the QR code here. Oh, sorry, not this one. Scan the QR code that I'm going to show on the screen here in just a bit, right? Once I can get all my tabs up and running here, folks. There we go. So this one, scan this QR code there, or you can type, or you can click on the link in the YouTube description below, okay, and sign up for a new Bybit account, and that way you can get your share of these rewards, okay. Also, we've got the link shared on X as well. Our social is Bybit_learn. That's our handle on X. YouTube, search for Bybit Learn Official and make sure you click on the live tab. When you scan the QR code or you tap on the link, you will get to this page. And this is for OG users and even for you, right? If you sign up now, not only will you get your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards, you can then be in the running for even more rewards, another 5,000 USDT per week. All you got to do is then complete all these different tasks that we have outlined here. But otherwise, you can find the sign up and deposit button all the way in the top right hand corner. I mean, obviously mine isn't showing because I've already got my account, right? Well, even though this is my demo one just for these live streams. But yeah, cool. So we're counting down less than 2 minutes till the non-farm payrolls data. So this is the daily time frame on Bitcoin, right? Supporting 90,000. Right, we could see a break below 90,000 again if the U.S. jobs data. Well, this one's a close call. It can go either way, right? Because it can be bad news is bad news or bad news is good news. In the sense that bad news, U.S. jobs market is weakening. People are scared. They want to cash out and get some cash. They might sell off assets like stocks and cryptos. Or it can also be bad news is good news in the sense that, hey, if the U.S. jobs market is weakening, the Fed needs to come in and save the day, i.e., cut interest rates faster than expected. So the idea that U.S. interest rates are going to go lower, that typically is to the delight of gold, stocks, and cryptos. Okay, so we'll see what kind of narrative they will hold on to in 1 minute from now, less than a minute from now. I'll just go down to the 1 minute time frame here. We'll see Bitcoin, gold, and S&P 500. I don't see any other requests. Oh, in 30 seconds, I've got a question here. But what's the schedule for these live streams? I like to edit in my Google Calendar. Well, very cool, Maverick. So we used to do these daily, but we have been doing a lot more of these live streams, even on the. So this is the live streams on the main website. We did this last week to launch our first ever crypto outlook calendar, right? So short answer is not typically. It's not going to be as usual as last year. Okay, so you just got to keep subscribing and checking out our Bybit official accounts, social media accounts at Bybit_learn on X and also Bybit Learn Official on YouTube. Okay, the numbers are out. Okay, so we've got a lower than expected headline number, 50,000 jobs added to the US economy, which is less than the forecasted 70,000. I will update these numbers for you. And the unemployment rate is at 4.4%. All right. So that's quite interesting. You've got a lower unemployment rate, which actually says it's stronger. So perhaps that's what sent Bitcoin to spiking higher, but it is a confusing one. So, you're not really seeing uh maybe not too big a move here because this is going to be interesting. Let's cross check against other asset classes here. Let's look at, say, the S&P 500 on the 1 minute time frame. Yeah, so taking some initial rejoicing from that lower than expected unemployment rate, but then the headline number as well, only 50,000 new jobs added compared to the forecasted 70,000. Okay, I'll just leave this on the screen here real quick. Let's look at gold. Gold saw that initial spike down. So it was quite a confusing print, right? Because unemployment rate better than expected, 4.4% compared to the forecasted 4.5%, whereas the headline number not as much as expected. So less than the 64,000 new jobs added in November, right? So is the US jobs market weakening or is it getting stronger because of that lower unemployment rate, right? Okay, let me just quit talking and just make sure I update this. So 50,000, that's right. So 4.4%. Okay, so that's the unemployment rate. Let me just double check my numbers here on my Bloomberg terminal, which unfortunately I cannot show you due to copyright reasons. But again, I'm sure you guys can find this data out there as well. Okay, so here's the breaking numbers here. Oh, not that one. Sorry. Sorry, folks. I'm just trying to. There we go. All right, let's try this again. There we go. Okay, cool. So those are the numbers there, right? So you've got gold actually climbing higher now, despite that initial confusion. Gold spiking higher. So could we see it maybe even post a new record high before the weekend is here? While it is certainly zooming right now, I'm going to suspect that the S&P 500 is also, not following as much there. So risk assets trying to go the opposite direction. Let's see what Bitcoin is doing right now. So Bitcoin similarly lower right now, right? So risk assets maybe not taking to heart this mixed number that we've got. I mean, to be clear, 50,000 is still a decent number in terms of jobs growth, but it could be slowing down, right? But at least you are taking heart from the 4.4% jobless rate, which is lower than the forecasted 4.5%. Remember, these were the numbers that we have published earlier today. 70,000 was a forecasted number. You compare that with the number in the bottom of your screen there, right? We only got 50,000. Whereas the forecast, right? Forecast was 4.5% for the unemployment rate. We've only got 4.4%. So lower than expected. Yeah, sending mixed signals, at least for Bitcoin right now, not despite an initial spike higher, resisted at 91,000 before coming back lower, still testing support on the 90,000 level that we have on the 1 day time frame. Earlier I showed you the 1 minute time frame. This is the 1 day time frame. Okay, and you can switch all them in the top left hand corner on the web trading platform for Bybit. On the app, you got to look for the settings icon, which is that gear looking icon, and then you can switch the time frames there. Okay, so mixed signal for Bitcoin. Okay, S&P 500 finally getting its act together here, maybe punching higher, just like gold right now. Gold punching higher a little bit. I'll zoom out to see what it looks like on the daily candlestick. So again, not much, right? So if you look at the daily time frame, sorry, this is the daily time frame here. So not much there. And I think a lot of that may have to do with the mixed readings of these numbers. Let me just leave the Bitcoin chart open. I want to see if it finally gets the act together and behaves like the S&P 500 and gold. Okay. In the meantime, let me just scour my Bloomberg terminal to make sure I didn't miss any big numbers. If there's any other asset that you guys want to see, feel free to go. Can you share the link to the daily report article? Okay, I'll try and do that right now on YouTube. Bear with me here, folks. Thank you for the comment there, Maverick. Always good to see you. I will go to the Bybit app, click on services, and find learn. Any other questions? Feel free to drop it in the YouTube live chat. I'm actually there. Again, sorry folks on those on X. You are just 12 tabs away, too many. Okay, so sorry for that. Um, ah, look, I got to actually go to the web version to actually send you the link there, buddy. But to tell you what, let me walk you through it again. Okay, Maverick. I mean, great question. So again, if you're on the website, you just type in learn.bybit.com, right? Yeah. So learn.bybit.com, right? You can scroll down till you see analysis. Same thing on the app, right? Find analysis. Let me zoom out. Get down to you see daily bits, and then you see this one. Okay, U.S. jobs report. That's same thing on the app. If you go to your icon, your profile icon in the top left hand corner, click on it. Then you'll find services. Look for learn under services. You get the same page. Click on analysis here. Scroll down to daily insights, and you can compare. Right. But more importantly, we put in the forecasts for the 6 hours leading up to, or sorry, 6 hours in the aftermath of this non-farm payroll. So you'll see, right, whether or not Bitcoin actually moves up as much as 1.2% or moves down by as much as 2.2%, gold as much as 0.7% up. We'll see right now, at least for the day, gold is actually up 0.2% only. Okay, so we will see if in the next 6 hours there'll be more, because guess what, there is more stuff to look out for. Check this out. Okay, the day is not over yet, even though the non-farm payrolls number has just come out, because later today the US Supreme Court is set to rule whether President Trump's tariffs are legal or not. Okay, so if there is a ruling that the tariffs are illegal, now of course, to be fair, then President Trump, his administration will find other ways to make sure that the tariffs are intact. It doesn't mean that they'll disappear overnight, right? But still, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a knee-jerk happiness or a spike up in prices for like the S&P 500 or even cryptos, right? On if the Supreme Court says that these tariffs are illegal. But if the Supreme Court says, hey, the U.S. tariffs can stay in place, then I wouldn't expect a big decline from it, because tariffs is something that we have grown accustomed to from last year. But it might, just make it harder for these risk assets to move that much higher. Okay, so that's what it means by may result in some downward pressure on risk assets. And you guys can comment on the articles there as well. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the charts before we wrap things up. So Bitcoin, so finding a topsy-turvy move there, despite that initial spike up to almost 91,000 before coming back down, trying to recover there. The forecasts that we have in the article are for 6 hours, so we'll see if prices will fulfill those forecasts. That is a look at Bitcoin right now. We'll look at the S&P 500. Okay, there's a clearer narrative coming out here, right? So even though the jobs report came out here, it is pushing higher. So taking delight in the idea that, hey, there is still a robust U.S. economy. The jobs market is still intact. Lower unemployment rate, as you can see on the bottom of the screen here, 4.4%, while also at least still adding jobs. Even though not as much as the 70,000 forecasted, 50,000 still okay. S&P 500 still taking delight in that. And similarly, gold as well. If we go down to the 1 minute chart here, so moving on higher. So see, gold initially spiked down, right? Perhaps this is some brokers or the clearing of some orders before then finally holding on to a narrative and then pushing up higher, getting closer to that 4490 level. This may look like pretty spectacular or notable on the 1 minute time frame. This again, the 1 minute time frame for gold. But if I zoom out to the 1 day time frame, right, not much. Okay, not much. So whether or not you'll fulfill that 0.7% forecasted move to the upside for the next 6 hours, we will have to wait and see. Of course, we've got the Supreme Court decision due. Perhaps, I mean, who knows, right? It could be mid-morning U.S. time on the East Coast, New York time. We'll have to see if or when the Supreme Court actually releases that announcement. Okay, all right, very cool. So let me see if there's any other. Okay, thank you. Hashtar wants to look at ETH. Okay, cool. So I've just seen your chat. I was about to wrap up, so good thing you came in on time. So again, folks, if you um want to search for your cryptos, like the cryptos you love, be it majors or whatever you might be familiar with, just give us a shout. And we look at ETH. I wouldn't be surprised is ETH is yeah. So this is the daily time frame, right? So you can see since those record highs late last year. Let me remove this technical indicator that I always use, the RSI, so you can see clearer. Right on the daily chart, not very remarkable. But if you zoom down to the 1 minute for ETH, you can even go down to 1 second here. Yeah. So again, not so cryptos, right, are having a tough time really just even though they are sensitive to macro stories, as you can see with this when the US jobs report was released, but right, having a topsy-turvy time, right, failing to really break out of this spike here or this wick as they call it on the candlesticks or this one here, still very much sideways. Certainly that sideways move is very evident on the daily time frame, unlike what I showed you earlier, right, S&P 500 clear strong narrative to the upside, and gold as well, going back to the 1 minute time frame, clear strong narrative to the upside as well. Okay, even though pairing some of those gains, but on the daily time frame, not exactly remarkable because it wasn't like a huge blowout of a number. Yeah, so that was your check in on ETH there, Harris. Thanks. Oh, sorry, Hashtar. My apologies. Yeah, thanks for that request. Any other charts you guys want to look at before we wrap things up? But of course, keep your monitors on, keep your charts on because you got the U.S. Supreme Court decision coming up as well. I don't really expect it to be that much of a blockbuster because again, markets are kind of just tired of the whole tariff story. I mean, of course, this is important to watch, be aware of, because if, let's say, the tariffs have to be removed eventually, right, despite the US government administration or the US administration's attempts to keep them in place, right, if they're removed eventually, that should bode well for risk assets like stocks and cryptos, but also global economic growth, right? That could change the story around 2026, at least on the macro stage. But it's not immediate, right? So while the ruling could come out favorably for risk assets, I expect those spikes to be just knee-jerk and only for a while, right? Because it might be a long time before we actually see those removal of tariffs, if it happens, actually filter down through the earnings and all the other stuff. In the meantime, we got so much more to look out for, especially like the Fed meeting coming up at the end of this month. Next week, folks, just as a heads up, right? Next week, we've got some important events. You've got US earnings season starting. So that's going to be a big mover for stocks. And we've got many of these stocks like JP Morgan, Tesla, Apple, all of these companies, they have to report their earnings 4 times a year. So their Q4 reporting season, which is when they announce how they performed, how much money they earned, not just in Q4, but also looking ahead, how much money they expect to earn in the future. All that will be announced during this earnings season, which unofficially kicks off on Tuesday, January 13th, with the biggest bank, JP Morgan. That's on Tuesday, January 13th. On that same day, we've got the US inflation data as well, right? So I'll go back to this slide here. Remember that the Fed has a dual mandate. So the Fed has a dual mandate. One of it we just saw, which is the U.S. jobs market, which is maximum maximum employment. Maximum employment, not maximum unemployment. The other part of the mandate is stable prices, which is inflation, right? So we've got inflation data coming out on Tuesday as well, January 13th. So make sure you join us for that live stream there. So to answer a question, Maverick, right? So I will very likely do a live stream half an hour before that CPI, Consumer Price Index, aka inflation, before that data is coming out as well. Okay, so that should be out at 1:30 p.m. GMT as well. So half an hour before, I expect a live stream on Tuesday, January 13th at 1 p.m. GMT. All right. So Maverick has a comment there. Okay, thank you for the like there, Hashtar. Maverick say, if the unemployment rate is lower than expected, doesn't that mean the job market is doing well? Correct. Yes. And the Fed will need to keep interest rates high to curb inflation. Correct. That's the idea. But at the same time, right, if you look at the 50K number at the bottom of the screen there, right, it is lower than expected. So hence perhaps the somewhat mixed messaging that maybe crypto is taking to. But for the S&P 500 and gold, going back to the charts again, S&P 500 and this is ETH that Harshtar wanted. S&P 500 just up marching higher, right? At least the Fed has the one half of the its mandate sorted. Okay, as in like the jobs market, not doing too shabby, lower unemployment rate, high, but there's still new jobs being added. So now they can focus on the inflation data. All right. So hence that initial gains for S&P 500, and likewise gold as well, checking in. Yep, also marching higher since that jobs data was released. But again, if you go out to the 1 day time frame, not much they're registering on the daily time frame. Okay, but it could set the stage for gains between now and Tuesday, January 13th, because that's when the next big data comes out, the US Consumer Price Index, CPI, inflation. Okay, yeah, but great stuff there, guys. Maverick and Hashtar on YouTube. Apologies for folks on X. I can't really see the live chat. Say what? Let me at least try and give you guys a chance here. I just got to make sure I can. Oh, thank you all for the likes and the reposts there. Yeah, tell you what, it's going to take me forever just to try and get to this live chat here. Okay, tell you what, we'll just leave it at that. I know we've kind of gone over already. It's 47 minutes past the hour. All right, so hopefully that was informative, right? So if you missed it and if you're watching this after the live stream is over, like I know most of you are doing anyways, don't worry. We'll be revisiting this very topic in early next month. In fact, let me try and pull up that date here. Whatever the first Friday of February is, so there'll be February 6th. Okay, so we'll be talking about the non-farm payrolls again at the next non-farm payrolls release on February 6th. Okay, all right, cool. Thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate it. Thank you for your questions. Again, feel free to make sure you follow us on our social media channels again, and we are at Bybit_learn on X. On YouTube, just search for Bybit Learn Official and make sure you click on or tap on the live tab. Okay, live. Also, we've got all of our content on learn.bybit.com. Make sure you go check it out there on the website, learn.bybit.com, or on the Bybit app. You can also discover us. Click on your profile, right? Look for services and then look for learn, and then you can click on analysis, and then we've got all our articles there. I know it's a bit of a mouthful to get to describe how to get to it, but have fun, right? Just kind of play around on the Bybit app, and we got plenty of stuff to discover there, including some of these TradFi products that you perhaps are not aware of. The world's second biggest crypto exchange has also launched its own TradFi products. So gold, S&P 500, euro dollar, stock indices, commodities, oil, copper, what have you. It's all there. Just search for the TradFi products. All right, cool. We're going to call it a day. Thank you so much all for joining. Appreciate your time and have a good weekend. And I'll see you again Tuesday, January 13th, when the CPI data, that's US inflation data, comes out. All right. Have a good weekend. See ya.